Hey, shalom, shalom,
Shalom.
shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Anach nawaha bar shalom. We the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Supreme so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. Nachamatam, Kaya, Hamalakat Hashemayim, Quara, repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. First and foremost, before we get started, we're going to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rucha, Wadash. While double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us truth and rule well, and much respect to you bros out there pushing this truth with our righteousness and sincere shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
So just as the lesson is entitled, New Year's Eve of Destruction, all right, in the open forum, all right, and as the elder apostle Har essentially entitled the year, the year of apostasy and sellouts, all right, because essentially what we see is prophecy is essentially moving, all right, and which if bros didn't happen, then I was gonna start with Habakkuk, the second chapter.
Got it.
Okay. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1, and it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved.
Right. So this is what we're seeing right now, man. Right. We're watching prophecy unfold before our eyes. Right. Both what's to come, right, in regards to this technocracy, the mark of the beast, as well as the brother may mention, Apostle Tahar, titling this year, right, the year of apostasy, sellouts, and agents, man. Right. All these things tie into one another because the way the world is about to unfold in hard times is about to force people to pick a side, man. Right? It's not going to be any more towing the line. It's not going to be any more hiding your hand. Right? Everything is being exposed for what it really is. So now you're going to have to choose whether or not you're going to serve Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai or you're going to serve Esau, man. Right? And the way the economy, World War III, we see domestic affairs, right, in regards to sedition and things of that nature. All these things are leading up to that final test, man.
Verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
Right. That word plain going into being easily understood, man. Right. And it's clearer than it ever has been at this point, man. It's to the point where if you can't see it now, you probably won't ever see it, man. Right. Or it'll be too late by the time you do see it. Right. If you can't see the infrastructure of the mark of the beast being established, if you can't see what the mark of the beast truly is, right? Jake's still fumbling over the names. Jake's still fumbling over the Gentiles, right? Jake's still trying to establish a foothold in this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these stumbling blocks that are being put before people's feet, and we in the heat of prophecy, man. Right? 2026 could be that last year, man. Lord willing, it is. But even if it's not, we know it's gonna continue to push the things down the track, man. Right? All these things are gonna continue to intensify until Howard Shai, makes his ultimate appearance, man.
Right.
Okay,
May I? Oh, go ahead, bro.
no, you got.
No, I just want to add a quick precept in there. This is Proverbs 22 and verse 3. It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So like the brother made mention, we're watching what is going on a daily basis. We're seeing, how these current events, that's going on right now, correlates to prophecy, right? And we're seeing that we're in the end times, man, right? So as it says, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Where do you hide yourself, right? In your Yahweh Shah, right? In this truth. The scriptures talk about the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. That's how you receive the protection in these times, right? But it says, but the simple pass on and are punished. And that's what we're going to see. A lot of people, fall down that path of death and destruction because ultimately they ain't taking heed to the message. Everybody's got it.
I got this real fast. This is Second Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. And it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. All right, and ultimately that's done by, measuring up events and prophecy with current events, And it said, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world, which he made. And ultimately, we're seeing, you know, the signs what the Lord wrote about. You know, we're seeing Matthew the 24th chapter take place. All right, Isaiah the 19th chapter. All right, Isaiah 13. You know, we're seeing all of the prophecies essentially take place, and which is going to essentially continue to happen. It's going to be, and it's going to speed up, you know, as we come closer and closer to the end. But it says, verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And I want to land back on your point that you have made, Quanah. Pretty much, you know, you got all of these, you know, prophecies going on, you see, but ultimately, you know, 2/3 are not taking heed, and they're acting as if, you know, it's not going on, you see. But reading this again, it says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So when you go into the word for manifest, it goes back to the Latin word manus, which means the hand. You know, so ultimately it's out there. You know, it's ultimately the prophecies are affecting everyone, and it can be grasped. You know, so if somebody is not seeing it, it's because they're 2/3 is being willingly ignorant. You know, just to land back on your point.
That's it. Hey, and like, you know, the spirit being on leadership to title these lessons the New Year's Eve of destruction, right? Every year, things continue to get worse that following year, man. Right. Mm-hmm. So this is the lead up to the continual downfall of Babylon the Great. Right. The frequency that the prophets are putting out there, right, is chatting down Mount Seir, man. You know. Mm-hmm. So everything that you see take place as the year unfolds, this is the will of the Lord in the earth, man. 2 Thessalonians 2:8, right? The if you can get that.
Can I grab it? So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8, and it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy. Keep going. Okay. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
Right. So what's happening is Esau's hegemony is being consumed first with the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right. This frequency going out is tearing down all the strongholds that they've built up. Right. It's unveiling all the things and backdoor dealings and wicked debauchery, right, that they've pushed in the earth. Right. It's giving people a light into what their true intentions and plans are, right, for these coming years, man. Right. You know, the prophets, a true prophet, will be giving these warnings, man. Right. And not preparing people to be in a state of comfort, but in a state of preparing your mind for what's to come.
Keep going.
That was it on that. You can go back to that, Habakkuk.
God.
May I get something real quick before you go back?
Thank you.
This is 2 Ezra 4 and verse 28. But as concerning the thing whereof thou asked me, I will tell thee.
You start one verse?
Oh, yeah. 2 Ezra 4 and 27. And cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. But this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. Is that what you wanted?
Because pretty much it said, can you read that latter part back?
The 28?
27.
27. 2 Ezra 4 and 27. And cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. But this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities.
All right, so ultimately, you know, the earth is full of unrighteousness. You know, Edom has ultimately ran the earth to where everything is out of balance, and pretty much everybody is in a mourning state. You know, so what we see now is the Lord is essentially enacting judgment. You know, That's why the kingdom, as the scripture said in Bon Sirach, you know, the kingdom is being translated from one people to another. You know,
right? Them unrighteous dealings. You know, everything that this man has gotten, you know, it was all gotten through rape, robbery, and murder, unjust means, right? So of course, you know, a recompense, you know, what would you call it? Justice has to be served. You know, that balance has to be brought back to level, right? But going down, 2 Ezra 4 and 28. But as concerning the thing whereof thou asked me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. Right. So Esau has rooted himself as king over the earth, as ruler over the earth. But what has that happened? I mean, what has happened with him in the power seat? The scriptures talk about how when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn. That's where you see everybody in this mournful type of statement. Everybody is stressed out. Everybody is, ready to give up. The new generation don't want to work. They feel like, there ain't no benefit in forwarding America. But that's all part of the punishments that's coming upon America because of the iniquity that has been brought upon, or the atrocities that were brought upon the children of the Most High.
Right.
But it says, I'm gonna read it back. But as concerning the thing whereof thou asked me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, man cannot it come that is sown with good. So this place has to go out, man. Right? And the Most High gave us the signs to look out for. Right? Scriptures I was talking about 2 Ezra 9:1. Right? Measure thou the time diligently within themselves. The Most High gave us the signs to look out for to let us know when the end is going to come. You have the parable of the fig tree in Matthew 24, right? Whenever the leaves start to blossom, and everything, that spring is nigh. So the same thing with these signs that we looking, the uproars of the people, of wars, rumors of wars, this exposure on Esau. All these things are signs to let us know that we're in the end. Right? And that judgment that has been prepared, now we're starting to actually see it manifest itself in real life here on the planet Earth. Travelers got it.
Going back to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 2, and it says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Right. We're in the time of these prophecies speaking, man. Right. Loud and clear. Every day is something going on, right, in regards to prophecy. Right. And what we're seeing right now is these things are starting to accelerate. Right. The Lord is shortening the days for the elect's sake. Right. Esau is pushing forward, his final agenda, his magnum opus, right, of wickedness. And at the end of the day, as I just did the lesson, he's just fast forwarding his coming demise, man. Right? He's running straight into his own destruction. Right? But what we're seeing is that pride upon these devils to establish this AI infrastructure, right? To destroy the planet further through these different what are they called? Data centers and things of that nature, man. Right? To put things in place in order to force people to take that mark of the beast, right? To continue on in the World War III, right? For Amalek to continue to attempt to pull America into these geopolitical tensions, man. All these things are happening day in and day out,
Right. Hey, I want to get something for you real quick. This is a quote that I heard a couple of weeks ago, but it's from Jean de La Fontaine. It says, a person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it. So that's what we're seeing. Esau's trying his best to try to avoid the inevitable of him being under the foot of the Israelites. But in him going about trying to avoid it, he's actually fulfilling what the Bible says.
Right. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Right. I guess something for you real quick again.
Okay,
just to add to that point, this is Isaiah 47 and verse. I'll just get to the point. Verse 11. Oh, you're there too?
Yeah, I had pulled it up.
This is Isaiah 47 and verse. I'll just get straight to the point. In verse 11, it says, "Therefore shall evil come upon thee; thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. And mischief shall fall upon thee; thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee, or come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know." So everything that is written in the scriptures pertaining to the fate of Esau, he's not going to be able to put it off, man. You know, he can't delay it. You know, he can't put it off. He can't avoid it because ultimately, you know, you're at the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You're in a trick bag.
Right.
You got it.
I got two.
Mhm.
This is Isaiah chapter. Actually, let me get this. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I'm gonna get verse 15 because we got 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8. You know, going into Esau being revealed. You know, because ultimately, you know, it's two witnesses, or it's witnesses against them. You know, because right now, you know, the courtroom is in session. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 15. It says that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and the Most High required that which is past. So the Lord, you know, when you go into this word for require, all right, it's going to go into, it says bakwash, H1245, and it says to seek, to exact, to request. It says to demand. It says inquisition. So it's a righteous inquisition, essentially, as it mentions in Wisdom of Solomon. I believe it's the 6th chapter, but it's an inquisition, an investigation, you know, being carried out on the counsels of the ungodly, you know, Esau, Edom. So I want to get this as well. This is Isaiah chapter 47, you see, because right now, you know, Esau, Edom is in the courtroom, and he's acting as if he has a leg to stand on, you know, but ultimately, as you said, you know, essentially it's already been a sentence made, you know, his end has already been prophesied. So let me get this. This is Isaiah 47 and verse let me see, verse 5. It says, sit thou silent, you know, because, you know, in a courtroom, you know, you got a plaintiff and you got the defendant, you know, and the person generally that's the defendant, they're trying to defend, you know, their case. You see, but then the judge, he'll say silence, you know, he'll hit the mallet with the gravel or whatever. So essentially that's what's going on, you know, because Esau Edom is trying to, you know, say, hey, look what they're doing. You see, the whole time, you know, he got some, you know, behind his sleeve. He got a whole track record. So it says,
Right.
Isaiah 47 and 5, it says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, which is talking about specifically America, Babylon the Great, you know, but it can be likened to Esau Edom, you see, because ultimately he feels as if, you know, he has a leg to stand on, you know. But it says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. All right. And ultimately, America, Babylon the Great is not going to be, all right, that place to be. All right. In the same manner, you know, Esau Edom is not going to be that man, you know, that he is, he appears to be on this side, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's a precept I wanted to get, where it talks about she selleth through her whoredoms, selleth nations through her whoredoms.
Revelation 18. Is it Revelation 18?
I thought it was Malachi or something.
Malachi.
I think it's Nahum 3rd chapter.
Yeah.
Oh, Nahum. Yep. This is Nahum 3 and verse. I'll just get to the point. Verse 4. It says, because the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. And as we see, you know, America has been that cup, as it says it in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. You know, how America or Babylon has been that golden cup in the Lord's hand that made the earth drunken. You know, and therefore the nations are mad. So now we're seeing, you know, that the abomination that has been pushed on these other nations and the rest of the world, you know, a lot of that stuff is starting to backfire the people. This civilization that we see, all the side effects, all the negative causes, is the cause of this man pushing his wickedness throughout the planet Earth. This is why everything is out of course, you know, and this is why this man has to get out of the seat of power, you know, out of that rulership seat, because as the scripture says, this man is unprofitable, man. You know, or soon the scripture says soon he will set one that is profitable, because this man is unprofitable, man. Everybody's got it.
Could you get that Ezekiel?
You got it, Ishai?
Yeah, I got it. Let me start from the top.
Could you get in NLT?
Come on.
Oh, sure.
This is Ezekiel 7 and verse 1 in the NLT. It says, then this message came to me from the Lord Yahweh, son of man.
This is the message that the Lord is sending forth, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the warning from his coming judgment that he's about to bring to the earth, man. Right? Every man that you see speaking this word is giving you a warning directly from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Mm-hmm.
And And as again, we go into the eve of America's destruction, man. Right? Esau's so-called New Year, right? The midst of his what's it called? The winter solstice and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is the Lord giving people another chance to come back and repent, man. Right? Showing that those doors of mercy are still open. Right? Because just like last year we did the eve of destruction, the year before that, right? All these years have continued that downward spiral of America, man. Right? And we're seeing more and more news in regards to prophecy that are indicative of worse times coming, man.
Right. Continuing on, verse 2. Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Israel. The end is here. Wherever you look, east, west, north, or south, your land is finished.
Right. So everywhere, right? What's it called? It shall come upon them on all sides, as the scriptures say, man. Right? This is what we're seeing take place. There's no escape, right? You can't escape to finance. You can't escape to entertainment. You can't escape to your own buying lands and things of that nature, man. Right? You can't leave the country and expect to have salvation, right? The only salvation is through Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? And with the way Esau is having things set up, right? He's trying to be that omnipotent power. Right? That's why they're pushing that 6G now. You know, we see how fast things moved with the 5G, right? So how much more when they implement this 6G, man? Right? You see how fast AI moved over the last couple of years, right? You know, so that's how we know things are continuing to accelerate, man. So like scriptures say, you know, our salvation is nearer than we believe, man.
Right. You know, and just to add to your point, you know, on that 6G, this 6G is gonna pretty much, as Donald Trump said, this is gonna be like the foundation on the rest of the advancements of technology. You know, when it comes to the implantable devices, when it comes to medicine, when it comes to the Gideon, when it comes to what's it called, Palantir, you know, all these things are going to be powered through that 6G. You know, this shows you that this is the foundation is being set for that what do they call it, totalitarianism.
Yep.
You know, that's that the groundwork's already being put in place. So whenever Jake, you know, starts to really start feeling it, you know, and it really starts to, you know, things start getting down to the wire. Hey, it might be too late because the prophet's going to have to be off the street by then, because in order for Esau to continue pushing this shit and get no resistance, he's going to have to get this truth off the streets, man.
Exactly.
You know, which just leading to the point that you got to get to this truth while there's still time, man.
Yep.
Right? Because the famine of the word is approaching. You know, that's something that's you know, we're waiting for as well. You know, to look, we're looking for that to come, because when that comes, know that hey, we're here, man. You know, Lord Yahweh is fastly approaching. Shit, we're almost there right now. You know, with the advancement of the micro seed hip, you know, with the wars going on around the world, yo, it's if you like the brother mentioned earlier, if you can't see it, man, there's nothing really we can do to help you see it, man. You know, but you got it up.
Yeah. Hey, Yuam, could you get that picture that you had put in the chat?
Kai, did you want me to read it off?
Yeah, you can read it.
Kai. The bottom it says first. In the bottom it says, do you see a pattern? Can I get a quick precept?
I got it.
Okay. It's a lot. This is Psalm chapter 144, and I'm gonna get verse 11. And it says, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of falsehood. And ultimately we understand that you know, generally people are right-handed, you know, so it's showing that Esau, even the so-called white man deals, his predominant hand is going to be a hand in deception. You know, so one of his most deceptive tactics is what's known as incrementalism or gradualism. You know, so that's why it says at the bottom, all right, it says, let me go back to it. It says, do you see a pattern? All right, because generally, you know, he'll set up a pattern, all right, and then boom, he come with that deception. Yep. It says every time, the water, bro. It says every time the world gets an upgrade, on its electromagnetic field, it messes up people breathing clearly. All right. It says the introduction of radio waves caused the Spanish flu of 1918. It says 1G influenza 1979, all right, which is the flu. It says 2G launched cholera 1991. It says 3G launched influenza 1998, in which these are not the only things that came with it. All right, they had other complications with it as well. But it says 4G
Even on top
launched.
of that, if I may add, they use these things to gain more control, right? The way they all these different what's it called, pestilences, we'll say, led to them being able to tighten the squeeze down on people more and more, right? Them to be able to infiltrate and have a more mass surveillance system, right, throughout the earth, ultimately,
It says 3G launched influenza 1998. 4G launched H1N1 2009, and it says 5G, the 19 came out in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, what's to come with 6G, man? Right. It's gonna be another global endemic, or it's gonna be another economic downturn. Right. All these things are attached to them. Like I said, them so-called upgrading the earth. Right. As Esau continues to try to put his imprint, right, his fingerprints all over existence. Right. This is gonna be another tool that they use to gain control, man. Right? They use it for the Depop agenda. They use it to, ultimately get people to bow the knee unto this system. Right?
Mhm.
That what's it? I can't remember the word, but they're pretty much going into how they create the problem reaction solution.
Right.
They create the problem. They see how people react, and then they already have a pseudo solution right in play, right, that falls in line with their objectives, man.
Mhm.
I got a quick precept for you. Let me see. This is Bon Sirach. Hold on. Bros know where it's at, where it talks about, going into order at KO. It's in Sirach somewhere, but it talks about how, a problem will arise and then he'll be the first one to help you or something like that, or he humble himself.
Talking about when he says, though he humble himself and go crouching. Is that what you're talking about?
I might be merging two. I mean, it's all good.
God, I want to get this real quick. Salaka, go ahead, bro. Salaka.
Yeah, I got this. Bon Sirach 12 and verse 17. It says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And reason that you find him there first is he the one that came with the problem, order app KO. Because it was a problem, with the 19, and what did he offer? Hey, you got the mask, all right, now you got the juice. So it says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance, because ultimately he's not really there, for the good of the people, because he ultimately has a trick up his sleeve,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
God, I just want to get this real quick. This is a quote from what's his name, Benjamin Franklin. It says, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Right? Hey, and that's what people are doing, man. People are giving up their liberty because they're scared. Because Esau comes with the fear tactics. To try to warp people's minds and also offer a solution, a quick, fast escape. See, this is the reason why in the scriptures it tells you, make not haste in time of trouble, man. Right? This is why you got to put your trust in Yahweh Shah, because in this times that we're coming into, Esau's going to play off that fear of the people, man.
Yep.
And he's going to start to merge people into this new system based off that fear that people have. Not being able to eat, not being able to go to work, not being able to take care of the family, not having a roof over their head, right? All these essential things that is needed for life, Esau's going to strip that away from you and tell you that the only way you're going to have these things back is if you integrate, man. You see? And Jake don't know how to fucking survive out here, man. Jake's been coddled by America too much that to make a fire, Jake's gonna die, man. Jake don't know how to make a fire. Jake don't know how to cook no damn food. Jake eats out all the time. Jake don't know fucking like basic survival skills, man. Don't even know how to filter water. You see Jake just drinking straight water out of a stagnant pond, man. Just die right then. You know?
But see, that's how you see Jake or so-called leaders telling oh we just want 15% of America and you can just send us all there. I'm like, but you niggas will be dead in 2 weeks, man. That like, but that's the mindset that people are in, man. Right? They're like, we just need a chance. I'm like, bro, y'all had a chance, and every time y'all had a chance, this devil found a way to snake his way in there and destroy it, man. And ultimately, because it wasn't rooted in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Right? We still gonna see Jake all 2026 trying to build up some type of safe haven on this side just to see it fail time and time again, man. Right? Because it's not rooted in the Lord, because the Lord isn't with this place. Right? Then he's gonna show it forth, many times over, man.
I want to get this precept for you since you mentioned that. This is Hebrews 13 and 14. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. You see? Okay. So this is why we always bring out Micah 2 and 10, right? Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Jake's still trying to find a comfortable spot, a comfortable nook in this fucking shithole, but not knowing that all this shit is going to be dissolved anyway. Everything that you see before you is going to be vaporized, man. It ain't going to last much longer. And either way, even if you try to forward yourself in the system, there's always that glass ceiling. There's always, something to stop you. The curses are on you, man. Yep. Right? But we seek one to come. We seek a city to come, and that's going to be the kingdom of heaven, man. Where the curse is going to be lifted up off of us. We're going to actually be able to live, and eternally too, rule over the nations. See, this is what we're looking for, man. Right? And this and the fall of this place is going to usher in the beginning of that one. Deborah's got it.
God, you can go back to that Ezekiel.
Oh, come. Let me go back to Ezekiel 7 and verse 2. It says, also, thou son of man, thus saith the Lord power unto the land of Israel, the end is come upon the four corners of the land. It says, now is the end come upon thee. Oh, let me read this in the NLT, Salakia. Verse 3 in the NLT. No hope remains, for I will unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins.
Right, say no hope remains, man. Right, there's no safe haven to run to. Right, the scriptures talk about they have made lies their refuge. Right, once the truth is in the presence, right, those lies become worthless, man. Right, it's just like that untempered mortar. Right, these things can't protect you in the time of tempest and storm. Right, and we're about to go into the most trying times coming into this next year, man. Right, the way they're pushing this AI, the way they're pushing the automated systems and things of that nature, man. Right, the way they're pushing for the universal. They say high income. Right.
Oh yeah.
All these different things to get the people in the position of further servitude. Right. Where you giving over your power completely unto this devil, for his safety, man. Right. And they, again, scriptures talk about they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, man. Right? Because ultimately you trusted in a man who cannot save you, right? Who has no intentions on saving you. Right? But that's gonna be proven, here soon come. All we can do is continue to warn to get that blood off our hands. But we see people more and more are refusing this word, man. That's why, as the scriptures, or as the Apostle Tahar titled the year of sellouts, apostates, and agents, man. Right? It's more and more people finding reasons to separate themselves from the ministry, man. Right? Whether it be offenses, whether it be, you found something more important, so-called, to you, right? These things are being shown, right? And they're being brought to the light.
Mm-hmm. Continuing on, Ezekiel 7 verse 4 in the NLT, I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for all your detestable sins. Then you will know that I am the Lord Yahweh.
Right. So it's gonna be no pity, right? Regardless of of how Jake thinks, right? The Lord is showing immense mercy at this very moment, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because he could have wiped niggas off the earth hundreds of years ago, right? But he showed mercy to allow the elect to come back into that comforter, man. Right? But now, like I said, he's gonna turn his eyes, show no pity. He's gonna what's that? Isaiah is it 10? Where it talks about the rod of his anger or of his indignation.
Isaiah 10 and 5.
God, if you can
Yeah.
get
You want
that.
it?
Because this is what the Lord, he's about to unleash Esau as that rod of his indignation, man.
That's right.
It's Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 5. And it says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation.
Right. So all the power that this devil has, when we see, right, he's reaching heights that the earth has never seen before, man. Right? It's all this is being given to him so that he can bring hell upon 2/3, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then walk his own self into his own destruction. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all by design of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. But the scriptures tell you he has bounds that he cannot pass. Right? So there's limits to what this devil can do. They can't see it, they don't believe it, but it's already set in place for them to not be able to reach the full capabilities, right, of what they imagine, man.
That's right. That's right. I want to get something for you real quick. This is Isaiah 59 verse 19. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord Yahweh shall lift up a standard against them. You see? So just like the brother may mention, Esau's going to come like a flood. Esau's going to come, with that great wrath spoken about in Revelation 12 and 12, and he's going to come for, he's going to try to touch the elect. You know what I'm saying? And, some of us is going to be made martyrs, but we know the future as far as what this man is going to do. So we're preparing ourselves to get in the right mind for these things, right? But when this man comes in with that flood, he's going to take away 2/3. He's going to really steamroll over to 2/3 of our nation, man. Like we're going to start seeing mass deaths, man. So we were talking about how their bodies shall lie in the street as dung. Back in the ancient world, dung was common on the streets. People had horses, donkeys, so on the streets, you'll always see shit laying around. But that's how common bodies is going to be in these times that we're coming into, man. That's the wrath that this man is coming with. Because for him to establish his NWO, you had the, what's it called, Georgia Guidestones, right? That he's trying to reduce the population down to, 500 million or something like that.
Yep.
That's like 8 billion people this man's going to have to eliminate in order for him to operate the earth, so-called in balance, right? But let me read this back, the latter part. It says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord Yahweh shall lift up a standard against them. And that's going to be by various means, You're going to have brothers get spiritual power, in the book of Daniel, what is it, the 12th chapter? In the first verse, talk about the angel Michael. He's going to have to step in, and defend the nation of Israel. So when the left hand starts to get, that might and power, we're going to start seeing that right hand step in and bring that, KO punch, man. The scripture talk about how Satan shall fall. I beheld Satan fall as lightning. That's how quick and fast this place is going to go down. You got it, bro.
You got something you want?
Lie.
Okay. You can keep going.
Kind of going back. Ezekiel 7 and verse 5 in the NLT. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster after disaster is coming your way.
Right. Disaster after disaster is coming your way, man. The poly crisis, right? All these things are being manufactured, right? First through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, but he's putting the spirit on Esau to put these things in play, right? To forward this agenda, man, right? To forward the coming destruction, right? In the guise of what they say, sustainability initiatives and Agenda 2030, and right, they talk about this is the year that we'll know the true impact of AI, right? And it's all these things that are coming into play ultimately lead to the mark of the beast, the downfall of America, right? And then the coming of Yahweh Shai, man, right? It's, all these things are just steps to that point, man, right?
Right. I want to get something since you mentioned how the Most High uses Esau. Pretty much Esau's a tool.
Yep.
And after that usefulness, of him punishing the Israelites, once his usefulness is over with, this man's going to be done. But this is Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath mingled all things for himself, or Salakia, the Lord hath made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. You see? So these people, Esau, his role in this, narration that the Most High, has created, is ultimately to be that antagonist, to be, that adversary, the physical counterpart of Satan on the planet Earth. Right? When you're reading the book of Second Ezra, I believe it's Second Ezra. Let me try to find it real quick. 2 and 2, one against another. Okay, this is Sirach 33 and verse 14. It says, "Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are 2 and 2, one against another." You see? So Esau's role in this thing is to be that antagonist. We're the protagonist, we're the main character, what I'm saying, that's going through all this tribulation, the underdog that's going to eventually take out, the big dog, the villain of this movie, and that's going to come by way of Yahweh Shai coming down and smiting this place, man. And that's going to come through, first through all these different plagues. As we talk about, I shall send plagues into Egypt as before, roughly paraphrasing, right? And these are the plagues that we're seeing. We're seeing the pretty much the economy being in this unstable condition, ready to fracture at any moment. Economists are talking about that this could go at any moment. That's how volatile the Esau's economy is. And if the money goes out, best believe everything else is going to go out. Because who the hell's going to go to work? Who the hell's going to go and be a police officer or be a firefighter or ambulance driver or a doctor when you ain't getting fucking paid, man?
Right.
So everything is going to collapse around that.
Right.
You got it, bro.
Now I was just going to add, we've seen a glimpse of that with the government shutdown.
Right.
And we're coming to the end of that little moratorium, right, where they have to vote again, right? So the government could go get shut down. It's going as soon as we get into 2026, man. Right, right. It's a strong possibility. People forget about that. They gave y'all a little reprieve during these wicked ass holidays, right? But now they about to put the squeeze right back on people, man.
Right. Trump said, roughly paraphrasing, he said, prepare for what may be your last, so-called Christmas, ever.
But see, they saying that people they not taking it serious, man. Right? The Lord is putting the pride on these devils, man. Right? For them to just say these things out loud, right? Because they know either the people are too scared to say anything, or they just don't believe, what's happening before their eyes, man.
Right.
I got a scripture.
Okay.
This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 1, and it says, "Did you want me to hold this or go ahead get it?"
No, you go. Yeah, you go.
Okay. So Isaiah 19 and verse 1, and it says, "Message to Egypt." All right, it says the burden of Egypt, and which this word for a burden goes into the Hebrew word mash'ah, which it chiefly goes into a doom, you see, because it's a doom and the utterance against America, Babylon the Great, which is also known as spiritual Egypt. But it says the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. All right, the Lord Yahweh is dispatching his son Yahweh Shai, to ultimately come and, destroy, America, Babylon the Great. It's going to be a cleanup job, with the ICBMs. But it says, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, in which that cloud is talking about the fathership. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. And ultimately, the idols of Egypt are being moved, at the Lord Yahweh Shai's presence. Because when you go into ancient Egypt, they had, a multitude of different idols. All right, pretty much it was it's an Exodus somewhere, but pretty much it goes into how the Lord made a vein, not a vein, an open shoe of how vain that these idols is. So it says, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved to his presence. One of the idols is, conglomeration, all right, to where everybody feels as one people. That's why verse 2 goes into pretty much infighting, all right. Another idol is, the money, all right, the money system is being touched, so everything that pretty much people confide in this place, Egypt, is ultimately, being moved, it's being agitated to where these people can't confide in it anymore, it's putting them in a very confounded and confused type of state, but it says, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And, when you go into this word for melt, it's masas, and it means to dissolve, to melt away, to waste away. All right, so that that American dream, it's no longer. All right, you can no longer, get your, the house with the, the white picket fence, the dog, the women, so on and so forth. You see, because everything is super inflated. All right, life in America, Babylon the Great is not sustainable. But it says, verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. All right, going into the infighting. And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And there was a video the brother had did. Pretty much it was like a recording, but dude was like, it was a certain point in time, in in the past that people would vote or whatever, which we're not supposed to be voting, but pretty much 2/3 are in these heathen, essentially, in times past, people would vote and stuff like that, and people wouldn't ask, who they voted for. But now nowadays, when people go out and vote, people are, they want to know what side of the fence people is on, you see, because it's a division. Everybody wants to know, they want to be in everybody's business, you see, because ultimately the Lord is putting a spirit of division in America, Babylon the Great. This place is divided, sport on sports, so-called politics, government, ways of life, and so on and so forth. But it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Because when you go into ancient Egypt, they were known for their left hand knowledge. That's pursuant to where is it at? It's in 2 Kings, I believe, but it says, and the spirit of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Wisdom is no longer, ultimately in Egypt, because at one point, the deception that they once was able to use, they can't use it no more. It says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. And this is ultimately why, we see a lot of distractions being pushed out. When you go into social media, it's a bombardment of different AI things, and they put it to where, it's tailored, to everybody's what they thinking. You can go on social media and something that you was thinking about, you probably didn't even say it, but it pops up. And that's ultimately because Esau Edom is ultimately confiding in these, different left-hand spirits to see how he can further push his kingdom, you see. But he has bounds he can't pass, so he has a certain day and a certain time that he's going to be taking out of rulership.
Right. And I want to answer your point real quick. The scriptures talk about, is there any more wisdom in Teman? So you mentioned, how, the sorcery and the power that Egypt, which this is spiritually Egypt, once had, now it's starting to wane, So now Esau has to tap into that left hand, real deep left hand shit, like AI, quantum AI. What's the other one? What's called AGI. So they're gonna have to tap into these things in order to forward their enterprise, in order to forward their NWO, because they can't do it themselves. They know that the power that they have right now, they can't really accomplish it. So they're gonna need to delve deeper into that left hand shit in order to forward, their NWO, man. But I want to get this real quick, because what you're seeing right now, talking about what we talked about earlier about how people ain't really reacting to what's going on right now. But this is I looked this up on the AI overview. It says desensitization of chaos. It says refers to the psychological process where repeated exposure to overwhelming or stressful situations reduces our emotional and psychological reactions, making us less sensitive, empathetic, or likely to act. You see, and that's what we're seeing. You know, through the TV, through the news, through ever since the whole C-19, especially since the C-19, we've seen a bombardment of chaos, of uncertainty, of this sense of despair being pushed on the masses. So now people are desensitized to it. People are getting used to the fact of of owning nothing and being happy. You know what I'm saying? Getting used to the idea of a UBI, getting used to the idea of just pretty much Esau having control over what you say, having control over what you put into your body. You know what I'm saying? Now, Esau's making it to where you really can't make your own decisions. You're gonna have to be dependent upon this man. You're gonna have to do what this man says. Otherwise, your ass is gonna be kicked off the grid.
Right.
You got it, bro.
Now, just add to that point, people are in that spirit of, either this place be destroyed or take me out of here.
Right.
There's more people
Right.
doing the what's it called, assisted suicides and things like that, man.
Right.
Everybody's trying to find a vice to escape, right? Whether it be from their current situation or just what they see coming on the horizon. Everybody knows that this place is doomed, man, right? But people are trying to put on a good face, right, as if things are going to continue in this happy-go-lucky spirit, man.
Correct. Like you said, everybody is in this state of it's a mindset of escapism.
Yeah.
That's when you see people turning to alcohol. I read an article going into how women nowadays are more likely to become alcoholics because they're drinking more alcohol. You got drug addicts, people into this fentanyl, into this new shit, that's on the streets. People are really just trying to escape, man. People are just really like you said, Quanah, people are just trying to get the fuck up out of here, man. And we're trying to get up out of here, but we're doing it the right way, The scriptures talk about how you got to strive lawfully, So there's rules in this thing when it comes to uh, uh, getting up out of here. You know what I'm saying? You got to trust in the Lord. You got to do, certain things, pretty much repent. You're going to have to keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability. You got to reform your ways. People talk about being not conformed to this world. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to, as we always say, you're going to have to align yourself with the will of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to really escape up out of here. And that's only for the nation of Israel at the end of the day. The elect of the nation of Israel, I should say. But you got it, bro.
I got a quick precept.
Go ahead.
Pretty much, you mentioned, how 2/3 and they're asleep. They're used to, the ways of this world. So how do we, how does the scriptures tell us to or inform us to ultimately to arise spiritually as pursuant to Micah 2:10? This is Isaiah 52 and verse 1, and it says, "Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion." Because ultimately, we're currently, in this man's hierarchy, ultimately Jake is at the bottom. So that's why it says, "Awake, awake, put on thy strength." Because Jake in America, Babylon the Great, is low and is without 2/3 is without the understanding. So ultimately the elect is in the mindset of awaking. So it says, "Awake, awake, put on thy strength." That's ultimately what makes us strong. That empowers us. It says, "O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean." In which it says, "For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean." Ultimately, it's going into this truth. It starts with this truth, because in the kingdom, we're going to be perfected. But again, it starts on this side, by arising and departing. All right, and then applying the scriptures, Psalms 119 and verse 9, "Wherewithal shall a man cleanse his way? by taking heed there too, according to thy word. That's ultimately how we arise, and that's how we, put on the strength,
Right.
Everybody's looking for a way out, man. And as we read in the Habakkuk, man, it's been made plain upon tables the way which you should be going. Right? The Isaiah, was it 20 and 30?
30 and 20.
30 and 20, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, this is the way, walk ye in it, man.
Right.
This is the way. You're being presented the way, right? Day in and day out. But people continue to refuse it, man. It's easier to go in the way of Esau Edom, man. Right? This is it's a tough path to walk because you're making yourself an enemy, right, to the current power structure, man. But you do that in the faith and understanding that a greater power is coming, right, to be established, man.
Right.
It was Isaiah 30 and verse 21.
Now, yeah, just to add to your point, Quanwa, the scripture talk about that. Our Lord Yahushua said it in Matthew, the 7th chapter, right? The straight gate and the broad. You know what I'm saying? Also, Second Ezra, the 7th chapter. It goes into that. So there's two paths you can take, and that's it. Either you're going to take the broad, which is going to lead you to destruction, or you're going to take the straight, which is going to lead you to that broad. Spoken about in Second Ezra 7. And the scripture talk. As a matter of fact, I'm just getting Second Ezra 7 and verse 6. It says, "There is also another thing: a city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water." Right, so you're going to have to go through this narrow, straight path, man. Which straight just goes into a path of difficulty, and this path will be difficult. The scriptures talk about, where's it at? But pretty much it says, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. So we understand that there's going to be bumps on the road. This path that we're walking is the path less traveled. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be bumps on the road. There's going to be, uneven, roads. There's going to be obstacles that you're going to have to go through in order to make it to the end, right? But it says, verse 8, and only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. And Yahushua was that trailblazer. And then you have Abba Bivens, you have King Mashah, High Priest Ariyah, High Priest Jaquab, all the way down to Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Rakah, Apostle Ramlab, to the rest of the elders and bishops, and the rest of the brothers too, man. So we're walking down this path, man, and you got to keep an eye on the person in front of you, to make sure that you're walking in the right path, man. Meaning you're gonna have to follow after the leadership that's being presented to you, man. In order to make it to the end. But let me see. Where am I at? Okay, verse 9 says, "If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance?" So the only way for us to make it, out of this place and get delivered and escape that second death is for us to go through that path. We ain't gonna make it to the kingdom, just by happenstance. You know what I'm saying? Just out of nowhere, I believe, and then all of a sudden you get, taken up. No, there's obstacles. There's a certain course you're gonna have to go through in order to make it, man, to qualify, right? It's going to talk about in well, it says I can't remember exactly where it's at, but it says for gold is tried in the fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. I believe that's a rock too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you're gonna have to be tested, right? Being what does scripture go? Test a friend, something along those lines.
Try a friend, Sirach 6 and 7.
Yeah, try a friend. Well, hey, if we're the friends of Yahushua, hey, he's gonna have to put us to the test and see if we are truly his friends. You know what I'm saying? And these evils that we're about to see, it's gonna affect us too. But the difference between us and the world is that we understand why we're going through what we're going through. you know, and we have a hope in the fact that we could be delivered, man. As long as we continue the course and endure to the end, as Yahweh said, he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. You see? Yeah, brothers got it.
Okay, I got this for you. It's Sirach 6 and 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
Right. Prove him first, man. You know, like I mentioned, you know, the salvation, the kingdom of heaven, you're not going to receive that just based off of happenstance, man. You know, you're going to have to be proven. You're going to have to go through that fire to see what metal you're made of, man. Whether it's gold or silver or bronze. Whenever you play a video game, you know, and you pass a certain mission, you get a gold medal or a silver medal or a bronze medal. Hey, we're going to have to go through that course and be tested and see what metal we're made out of, man. You see? And Lord willing, you know, we be that fine gold, man, that the Most High wants, you know, so that way, man, we just, boom, get transitioned up out of here, man. Yeah, brother, got it.
So verse 8, for some man is a friend for his own occasion and will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
Right. Some people are just, you know, friends to see what they can get out of you, man. See what they can gain off of you. You know what I'm saying? And Yahweh doesn't want that. He wants those that are sincere. Those that are what they call it, your ride or die, man. Right? That's what he's looking for. Those who are willing to put everything on the line. Just like Abraham did, right? Whenever he was told to sacrifice his son Isaac. Hey, he didn't even question it. He just went and did it. Because he knew, you know, that the Most High could resurrect him back. And the same thing with us. We put our lives on the line because we know that Yahushua can raise us back up. Yahushua can just, boom, snap his fingers and bring us back again, which is exactly what he's going to do anyway. You know? You got it out.
And there was a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach. Again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
Right, will not continue in the day of thy affliction. So whenever things get hard, whenever things get rough, whenever you're going to have to sacrifice some things, you know, you're going to have to go through that straight, you know. So some men aren't made of that type of that stock, I should say, you know, that can be able to endure this heavy load that we're about to endure, man. So it's going to be, you know, like they say, survival of the fittest. But the fittest is going to be, you know, spiritually. You know, because scriptures talk about, you know, if you faint in the day of adversity, that strength is small, you know, meaning your faith is weak. So you're going to have to, you know, root yourself in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, as the scriptures talk about, you know, he's that rock, you know. So if your foundation is that rock, you're going to be stable, man. You're going to endure all that wind, which is, you know, or that tempest or whatever, which is symbolic of the chaos, the evils that's about to befall this place, man.
God.
Good.
Apostle Sahar didn't name this year, you know, the year of apostate sellouts and agents for nothing, man. Right. This is a time where faith is going to be tested, man. Right. Your strength is going to be tried. You know, you're going to be, you know, like you said, the Lord is finding out who that pure gold is, man. You know, that's why, as the brothers have been going into, this is the time to continually examine yourself, man. Right, whether you be in the faith, because we're coming into trials that it's only through faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua we're going to be able to get through it, man.
Right.
As we watch the destruction of Babylon the Great, we're going to have to lean more and more and more upon Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. But you can finish out that Ezekiel.
Come. So going back to Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse, bear with me, verse 6, it says in the NLT, the end has come. It has finally arrived. Your final doom is waiting.
Right. So the final doom is on its way, man. Right. It's here. We're watching it unfold, man. Right. As you read in the KJV, it say evils and only evils is coming, man. Right. There's nothing good left. Right. The only good is in this word. Anything else is fleeting, man. what Solomon say, all is vanity and vexation of spirit, right?
Right.
How much more in these times? You know,
Right.
if he's saying that back then, right, when he had it all, right? How much more, when we see that nothing here is worth anything, man, right?
Right.
Holding on and fighting for this world is a useless endeavor, right?
Yep.
So as I said, your final doom is waiting. The end has come. It has finally arrived, man. Right? We're praying for these things to hasten, man. We're hastening the day, as the scriptures say. Right? We're praying for these things to move in a fashion that we can get up out of here. Brothers is tired. Brothers is tired, man. They shall wear out the saints, man.
Right.
But we have to continue to push this word right into the end, right? Till the Lord call us off the airwaves, off the streets, off the highways and hedges, right? It's our job to keep pushing, but they're making it harder and harder for us to accomplish these things through the different persecutions we're going to face, man. The different censorship that they have, coming into play, right? Amalek, tightening down on their insecurities, right? So now they gonna come against us, right, even more feverishly, man. Right? We have their entire ire, right? Their main focus is to get us out of the way. Because we're the thing that's in the way of them accomplishing their enterprise, man. Right? Which ultimately is the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai that's causing that.
Right. Right. So pretty much it's like the Book of Esther all over again, man. This man is trying to bring blame upon the Israelites, bring blame upon the ministry, bring blame upon, pretty much Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai in general.
Exactly.
Because like you mentioned, in order for him to, establish the NWO, he's gonna have to because his whole system is based off of wickedness, so he's gonna have to eliminate, the righteous path. But we understand, the scriptures talk about how's it go? Only he that letteth will let until he be taken out of the way.
Yeah.
So the Most High let him do these things and build up his pride to a certain level, ultimately just to be taken down, man. And the Most High is going to send his son Yahweh Shai, and that's going to be it. That's going to be the wrap and the closing credits, of Esau's empire. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Hey, the Lord willing is coming this year, man. Right? We see it. We see everything in place, right? The way things move this year, right? 2026 is gonna be, flying, man. I feel like we just did this. I feel like we just did this, not too long ago, man. Right? But we right back here, prophesying against Esau, right? Telling people to watch out for what's gonna happen in this next calendar year, man. Because everything is moving according to the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and the Lord's will is to destroy Babylon the Great at the end of the day and establish Israel as that eternal kingdom, man. Right? So everything we see, everything that takes place is pushing those chips forward, man. But that was all I had, brothers, and everything.
Shit, that was it, bro. That's all I had.
I'm gonna get one more.
Yeah.
This is Psalms chapter 21 and verse 8. And it says, "Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies." All right, because ultimately, as pursuant to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8, we got Ecclesiastes 3 and 15, the Lord is requiring, that which is past, so a investigation and inquisition ultimately is being searched out in Esau Edom's council. It says, thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. So ultimately, this truth is revealing, the secret counsels of Esau Edom. So it says, verse 9, "Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth." Because scripture says, if they be born, it is for the sword. All right. It says, "Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men." It says, "For they intended evil against thee. They have imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform it. Ultimately read back from the top. It says, for they intended evil against thee, as pursuant to Psalms, the 2nd chapter, why do the heathen rage? All right, Psalms, the 83rd chapter, essentially, they put themselves confederate against the Lord, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, all right, and against, the elect, all right? So it says, for they intended evil against thee, all right, the NWO, they imagine a mischievous device which they are not able to perform, in which, they're going to get, their plans off of the ground, but it's not going to come into full fruition, you see, because the Lord is going to disturb their plans, and they're not going to, get to the elect,
Right. Right. So just like you mentioned earlier, man, this bounds that he cannot pass. There's a certain extent that he's going to be able to reach, and after that, he's just going to crumble. He's going to stretch himself out so far to where, just like the Roman Empire, they stretched themselves out so thin, and then all of a sudden they just started collapsing, man. That's what we're seeing with America. That was it, though.
Con Bros, had anything else?
That was it.
I don't want to Zaza, but now Paulo, that was a beautiful edification of the spirit. Well, we can go ahead and close it off by saying, Kohalayim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rocha Wadash. While double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us the truth and rule well. And much respect to you, bros, that they're pushing truth with all righteousness and sincere. Shalom, shalom. Like lots of wild. Shalom.
Shalom.